What's good, YouTube? Nihilego here, and with the drop of Extra Dimensional Crisis comes new expert solo battles, and this time around they've only introduced 5, starting with Buzzwole. If you're new here, I make guides on how to beat expert solo battles, not only with the specified types, but also 3 diamonds or less when required, since this time around they did reintroduce the no trainer challenge, which I will have videos specifically geared towards that coming out soon. With that said, Buzzwole EX requires all darkness and 3 diamonds or less, so that's what we'll be focusing on today. But before we break down the deck that we are using, I like to look at the deck that we're going against, as it makes explaining our card choices that much simpler or more understandable, I guess, at least in my opinion. For starters, there's 3 things that I want to point out of this list, and that is Celesteela, Pheromosa, and that half the cards kind of don't matter. When coming to the reason I want to point out Celesteela is not even the Buzzwole combo, which, if you don't know, is the fact that Buzzwole could attack for big beat for 120 damage and then can't attack the following or can't use that attack the following turn. However, if you have Celesteela to just back it out and then reintroduce the Buzzwole, whether it's by hard retreating with one of the other cards or with a double Celesteela play, they're able to attack for 120 turn after turn after turn. That's not why Celesteela matters. Celesteela matters because when I think darkness against all grass deck, I avoid the Darkrai angle, and you want to go with the old school poison strategy. However, granted, old school poison, but it got a lot of support in the new sets. However, Celesteela being able to swap freely kind of counters poison initially, or at face value. So that's something I wanted to focus on. Pheromosa Cyrus is something that also we have to kind of try to play around, as it could get very oppressive where they just start using spread damage, and then throughout the game they could Cyrus at any moment something in the back. So we try to play around that as well. And then as far as irrelevant cards go, since we are doing 3 diamonds or less, there's no EXs in our deck, thus red is dead. As for Beastite and the Leaf Cape, those are tools that don't really matter, if that makes sense. Later on in the expert solo battles, we'll go against Skarmory list, or a list using Dugtrio. The Dugtrio list uses Skarmory and has the 4 tools of 2 helmet, 2 cape. A list like that, we consider using Guzma. If they had Poison Barb, we'd consider using Guzma. But for Beastite and Leaf Cape, and the the HP added by Leaf Cape and the damage added by Beastite don't really make a difference in the long run, so we don't have to worry about those. So that's just 4 cards that stand alone. Out of a 20 card deck, when 4 cards don't bother you, it feels pretty well. And as long as we play around Cyrus, that's another 2 cards that don't bother us. So that's the initial idea that I had. Basically, they could play around poison. Our backline is not safe, but at least a lot of their deck is kind of a dud, which helps us in the long run of beating the deck. But as far as what we'll be using, Scolipede Nihilego completely dominated this challenge, and also I apologize if I butchered the jellyfish's name. Not too sure what it's supposed to sound like, but either way, when initially making a list for this solo battle, my first thought was a poison heavy deck using Weezing and Kogas, but that was not only highly countered by the already mentioned Celesteela, but it didn't threaten Buzzwole fast enough, and it gave him time to build up not only one Buzzwole but multiple, and then the damage of 120 turn after turn could get out of hand. If interested on how the list was made, the deck building process alongside the gameplay was actually streamed on Twitch, so feel free to follow me on there. I'll link it down below. I do plan to stream consistently in this season and hopefully moving forward. Although I'll also be streaming on YouTube, so regardless of how you watch your streams, I look forward to seeing you on the next one. And as for the final list that I felt consistently took down the challenge, which is the one you see here, I ended up removing the Koga package, as relying on poisoning them on my turn was just not realistic due to the fact that they could just bounce it around. Thus, I just focused on bringing out Scolipede as efficiently as possible with rare candies. Even without the additional damage from the Pokemon being poisoned, we could take down Kartanas and Pheromosas on 1 hit, and we 2-hit Buzzwole and Celesteela. Granted, if they're poisoned, then we one-shot everything in the deck. Our poison method of choice is the Poison Barb, since it poisons them on their turn. Thus, at worst, it hits them for 2 turns. They get poisoned, they end their turn, get hit by poison, and then we pass turn, they get hit by poison again. And Nihilego is clearly there just so that the poison does that additional extra damage. The rest of the deck is meant to combat Pheromosa Cyrus, as well as the potential aggression of an early Kartana, as Lily healing Scolipede for 60 covers most of the damage done early, and the potions is just to heal up anything that Pheromosa tags in the backline, so their Cyruses are basically useless. At least that's the idea behind using them. Overall, this list is not only consistent at what it's supposed to do, but it counters everything that the Buzzwole list is trying to get done, while abiding to both the task of only darkness type Pokemon and 3 diamond or less. Hopefully this list works for you as well as it did for me, and stick around for the gameplay for a better idea on how the deck works. If this video did in fact help you, please consider subscribing, as we make these solo battle guides for every expert solo battle, and I promise the rest of them will be out shortly. And as always, stay pro. And we got going second. I feel like we got him going second every time we've attempted it, but... Okay, so they drew every Pokemon they have access to, I guess. Alright. Yeah, no, Celesteela is such a strong card. Whether they use it properly or not. I guess we're happy to see that they only have one on board, right? Because it's when they have two that they really play around poison. I guess we could play like this. Not how I imagined to play this out, but it'll work out. If we draw a rare candy, we'll probably try to trade this out. If not, whatever Pokemon we draw after this, we'll trade for hopefully a Scolipede. We're trying to play where Beast Type does not matter. And if we think about it, right now we knock out this Kartana on the follow-up, right? The only issue is that if they have Glutamine, their Buzzwole is pretty stacked. Let's evolve here. Is there a reason to use potion? Not necessarily. There's nothing that could knock us out next turn. So let's feed this. We're gonna hold this and hope to trade it for Scolipede next turn. And for now, just swing here. The most they could do is give Buzzwole 2 energy and it'll swing for 30. And then we could heal for as much as 80 next turn, right? We're okay with that. However, if they don't see if we don't see Scolipede, then we're in danger. Alright, the V-Stite. Honestly, we don't worry about that at all. If they're going to swing, the reason we play Potion is exactly for this situation, where we keep our Jellyfish safe from their Cyruses. And once again, we get the knockout here, most likely, right? Now it's confirmed, because we get to put the second Jellyfish down. We're just really hoping for Scolipede here. I think it's guaranteed, actually. No, yeah, it's guaranteed. It's guaranteed. Due to the ratios we have. Alright, perfect. Technically, we don't need to put both down, but there's no reason not to. Again, playing around Cyrus. We don't want that to happen. Although they're out of beast types and stuff, so it doesn't really matter. Fuel here. Put us back to full health here. And at this point, there's nothing they could do. With whatever they swing at, if they swing at Scolipede, they get poison, it's just GG. And if, and again, they're only playing Cyrus, which is why we're playing Potion. They have no way of, like, swapping out our front line. Yeah, it's GG. So, okay, this deck, this list, I'm confident in. I could definitely post this and be like, yeah, okay, they didn't even have the Lusamine or nothing to do nothing. Funny enough, it probably, like, saves their life more that they haven't attacked yet. But again, we two-shot this, so. As always, though, we do multiple examples for the videos, so. Although this one worked perfectly fine, we'll see that it just should work every time. And now we're even setting up a second one. Like, in a world where they somehow found a way out of this, we're another Scolipede away from just playing another one. Yeah, and the tools they used, like you saw, the Beast Type never came into play. The Leaf Cape bought them a turn, but it didn't like didn't do anything for them. So it's like nothing we're actually gonna like we have to respect or anything. So there's no need for Guzma in this solo battle specifically. I feel like they're just gonna continue to swap their Pokemon around until they have no choice but to get knocked out. They're not gonna swing into anything, so. If we were greedy, we could even just like force their hand by swinging with the Jellyfish, but then they just drop a second Celesteela and we don't do much. Interesting. Again, none of this matters. We already have 2 points, so the Buzzwole or the Celesteela, they all mean the same. And now they're just delaying the inevitable. You see, this is what I was talking about, where we have to basically put 2 down. And the only reason I'm not sacrificing the jellyfish just to force them to swing at it or force them to get poisoned is because there is a challenge for not allowing them to have any points, I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm just proving it that you could definitely do it without losing any points. You see, now their hand's forced. Everything we swing at just gets knocked out by the 70, so... And just like that, GG's. But as always, we do multiple, so let's jump to a different example. Alright, going first. We have Venipede into Scolipede. Is it mirror that these cards look like tiny? I don't know, kind of tripping me up. Maybe that's just the normal thing. I don't know. Yeah, there's no reason to lead the jellyfish. And we are going first. Okay, so that's something different. I feel like we've gone second every time before this. See here, turn 1. We got the research. Let's definitely empty the deck out of any Pokemon because this is guaranteed jellyfish or Venipede. And I know I don't know how to pronounce it, honestly. I just feel like every time I say it, I butcher it, so that's why we're sticking with jellyfish. Okay, we got Barb. Barb is huge in this situation. The only thing that would be even better is if we had a rare candy. Although with nothing on their board, I think with everything on their board we're safe because we could just go into Whirlipede. There's no reason not to commit everything to the board. Let's just go. Hopefully we start seeing more cards that actually help us. Like if they attack here, they're just knocked out, and we don't even need a swing with the Venipede. They take 30 here and 30 when we pass turn. There's the rare candy. High key, I think we're gonna commit to the hurt one to evolve just so it can survive more situations. Granted, we do need to see Lily so that we don't lose to a Buzzwole with Lusamine play, but it would still take a few turns before that happens. So the only reason I didn't want to put the Whirlipede up front is because we don't play Leaf. Like we cut Leaf from the final list, right? So. Alright, so they gave the energy to Formosa and then ran away. They have no idea how to deal with this situation. Honestly, I could not make, like, a better hand, basically, for us. Alright. Feel really confident with this list. Honestly, I feel like anybody who just, like, copies it card for card, you should be fine. Obviously, there's like certain play arounds, like you don't want the jellyfish up front. You definitely want to potion up your back line if they were to tag it with Pheromosa to play around their Cyruses. Because if you're able to play around Cyrus, a lot of their, like half their deck becomes like unplayable. Now we start building up a backup Scolipede. And now it's gonna look a lot like the first game, where it's just like they start swapping around until like they can't anymore. They didn't even attack, which is just crazy, dude. Let's start spreading some damage. I mean, energy here. And now it basically comes down to that one Celesteela to take one more hit, and then that's game. Yeah, this is a wrap. Let's just swing and take it out. There's not much to say. Like, now I'm gonna cut like if I'm do like a quick little outro for like the YouTube video or something. I'll do it in post.